And welcome into the Thursday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharski.com will be with us in the second half of the show. He will be in studio back from Flowery Branch, Georgia, on 2 days of Titans practice against the Falcons. We'll get all of PK's takeaways from that a little bit later in the program. Joe Rexrode, good morning. Welcome back to the program. How we doing? What's going on?
So awesome. So awesome. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Yeah, not as good as you, but I'm doing great out here.
Everything is awesome. The Lego song.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for getting that in my head. Appreciate that. That'll be a nice worm the rest of the day that won't go anywhere.
That's a jam.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one word for it. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Doing good, thanks. A little foggy this morning.
It was.
Pretty foggy in my neck of the woods, so careful out there. Low beams, people. Low beams.
Low beams.
At least one person needs that reminder.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing great.
Don't smoke somebody off the road with your high beams on, just shining right in their face. So we'll see if people can handle that this morning. Enjoyed Joe last night watching 2 consecutive hours of Taylor Swift on the New Heights podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. My wife was locked in, baby, just locked in the whole time. So I sat there and watched it with her. And, as we know, Taylor Swift, at least, top 5 Hendersonville Commando of all time. So it's good to see her doing some big things out there.
So how was it? Was it good?
Yeah. I mean, as somebody who is not really a Swiftie, there's a lot in there that, frankly, I don't really care that much about. But I thought it was good. It was good. And, I mean, I think it did make me appreciate, she's kind of a genius. I think we knew that anyway. But she's, just in terms of the way she sets up her shows and stuff, she went into pretty good detail about all that. And it's wow, you're really smart thinking about things that people have no business thinking about. So that was interesting to me to find out. But, there's a little bit too much of Travis Kelce all lovey-dovey in there. And I was like, all right, when does this thing end? But it was fine. Yeah. It was 2 hours. Not that bad.
2 hours, man. So yeah, I saw it was more than 1 million people.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that at one point they crashed
live.
YouTube. Yeah. At one point, though, with 15 minutes left in the podcast, the stream just crashed. So I had to repair that and listen to the rest of it on Spotify, because there's no way we could just wait for the rest of the 15 minutes for tomorrow or something. I had to go find it somewhere else.
Damn right.
So.
Yeah, I wonder if my resident Swiftie here was plugged in on that, or what time did that start?
I think 6 o'clock our time. We had to delay it a little bit because the toddler was not gonna. There was no sitting there watching it in peace with the 2-year-old running around. So when she went to bed, we locked all the way in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure at some point I'll catch up on it. So that's what I was wondering. I mean, it's obviously the Brothers podcast, mostly about football.
Yeah.
Obviously you have a guest on, you're talking about their stuff, but I wondered how much it was going to be about, Taylor's music stuff as opposed to just sort of
95% Taylor music stuff, I would say. If I had to assign a percentage to it. Now, she did talk about the cover 2, cover 4, cover 0 defense, which was beautiful. It was awesome.
I saw that quote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talked about that. Yeah. She talked about what she once thought football was, of just lining up one-on-one, which I assume came from just watching me do drills in middle school. So good to know she's evolved as a football fan since then.
You're her model of an elite athlete.
Yeah, pretty much.
You used to be. Yes.
So I'm glad that Kelce is kind of taking her place on that one. So it's good stuff. Good stuff there. Like I said, Paul Kuharski will be with us later in the show. We'll get into the details of the Titans and the Falcons joint practice with him. Joe, apparently a better day for the Titans yesterday. It did not go well for them in day one. Between the Titans and the Falcons joint practice, there was some fighting going on yesterday. I think Kuharski described it as 3 mini fights that I think the way he phrased it in a way that only Kuharski can is, I guess, showed some sign of life, also got in the way of getting some stuff done out there. So it's all right. Apparently some altercations yesterday out there between the Titans and the Atlanta Falcons, but Apparently some better play for the Titans offense. And Calvin Ridley came off the field. Andrew tweeted this out yesterday that he came off the field saying, "We won today. Y'all write that." So Calvin Ridley thinking the Titans came off the field with a victory against the Atlanta Falcons in the practice yesterday. So if you were out there, you're looking for a response after what was pretty universally viewed as a not very good practice from the Titans a couple days ago and day one of the joint practices. Apparently you saw a little bit of that yesterday, Joe. So I guess that's good to see.
I guess so. I don't know that there's a consensus agreement with Ridley on the Titans winning, but they maybe lost less than they did in the first day. Is that maybe fair to say? Didn't lose as bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we necessarily have to have a winner and loser of every joint practice in this league either. But yeah, I suppose it's not at all surprising that you'd have some kind of response. It's a little disappointing that you'd have such a apparently sluggish first day there. I just don't buy the whole. I mean, another thing, I think it was Ridley who was like talking about sleeping in, different beds. It's like, and during camp, isn't that what you do also? Or a lot of guys for the most part, for most of camp? I think so. So
it's also what you do in road games in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think they're, staying at like the no-tell motel, right? Like,
I don't think so.
It's probably just fine. So it's just, I mean, it seems like there's just a lot of these things that are, a lot of the conversation, a lot of what people are seeing. It's like low energy, motivation, adversity, being in different situations. And a lot of it, I think, comes down to they're going up against teams that have better players than them. I think there's just a lot of the reality of it is just they're not very good. And so we're coming up with all these different reasons and things to explain that they're just not that good.
Well, that's what I said yesterday to begin the show. Like, we can talk about slow starts and we can talk about lack of energy and all these things. But the deeper that goes on into camp, the more I have a harder time believing that the Titans just have apparently the most unfocused group in the history of the National Football League out there. I think it has more to do, Joe, with they're just not very good. Like when and Callahan kind of talked about that yesterday. I mean, he didn't come out and say his team wasn't very good, but he was basically like, if you make the plays early in the practice, well, there's your energy level right there, right? Like you make those plays, and nobody's talking about a lack of energy level or a slow start. When you're not making the plays and the other team is, you may approach it the exact right way you need to approach it. But if you're not as good as the other team, then it doesn't look like that all the time. And I think that's probably the bigger case of what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just so, and I think that is probably like his kind of gentle way of, saying like, you got to make the plays. What he doesn't say next is, wish we had more guys who could make plays. He's not going to say that.
Nice to have some of those guys.
Yeah. So I mean, look, and I'm not dismissing. I know that like Big Joe's talked a lot about the motive, and guys running into the building. I mean, like I'm sure there's something to that too. It seems like maybe they need some more guys to bring that to like just say, look, like get off your ass, let's go. I mean, I think there's probably some truth to that. I guess, then you get into, here we are in August talking about joint practices. Oh, this practice, that practice. Does any of that, if they have that, really change what they're going to be this year?
Yeah, it's a good question. And look, I'm glad that Calvin Ridley thought enough of their practice yesterday where he felt like they won it. That's fine. We'll see. Brian Callahan did say yesterday that the starters are going to play again. So I would expect basically the same thing we saw against Tampa Bay in terms of the plan going in of a couple series for Cam Ward and the starters offensively. You'll see some guys on defense out there. He said you're probably not going to see Jeffrey Simmons and you're probably not going to see Kevin Zeitler. But other than that, like the guys should be ready to go and ready to play. So I like that. Like, I like going through the two joint practices, getting the day off today, and then having your starters play in the game tomorrow. Like, I think this is a roster and a team that needs as much work as they can possibly get. So I like that. I like that that's the way that they're handling this here. But I think the more camp goes on, the more it's clear that this team just needs a lot of work. And, I'm glad they showed a little bit more energy to start yesterday. Like I saw some interesting comments from Arden Key about, starting off a little scuffle and just getting the blood flowing a little bit yesterday. But at the end of the day, it's going to be like how I don't know that in October if they're getting like blown off the field in the first half. I don't know if we're going to be talking about energy level. We're probably going to be talking about, man, this doesn't look like a very well coached team, and man, the talent level in this team just isn't very good.
Yeah, of course. Then you get into those two things you said. It's like, which is it, or which is more, or let, right? Like,
right.
We're gonna have that a lot. And by the way, yeah, I did see that Arden Key. I thought that it was generally a bad thing to have a burning sensation when you urinate. But
I've heard that's not what you want.
Unless maybe you're like Superman, you're like trying to, I don't know.
I mean, Matt LaFleur uses that phrase
Let's
too.
That's right.
So maybe, maybe this is just a football thing, man. I don't know.
That's a LaFleur.
That's a
LaFleurism.
LaFleurism.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I did not realize that. Yeah, that's a new one for me, I think.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what we're talking about, I don't even know if we can exactly say it. So find it on the internet.
Yeah, just look up Arden Key and what he said yesterday. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Joe, we played Brian Callahan's press conference at the end of the show yesterday, and as we were wrapping up, I thought about something he said, and like the more I thought about it yesterday, the more it kind of irritated me. Man, I want to get your thoughts on it coming up next. We'll do that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
A lot of the guys said they wanted to get a better start of practice today. How you feel that went?
I think we did good. I think we started off in the one-on-ones. We got a little scuffle going on, so the got hot. And then we got the teams had a little scuffle going on. But after the scuffle, we still played football and we still was able to keep that high intensity.
That was Arden Key yesterday, the chief subscriber of Kuharski.com. Get it done out there on the field. Good to hear that stuff from Arden Key yesterday, Joe. He was fired up.
I bet you Paul Kuharski's bleep gets hot too.
We'll have to ask him later
when
he shows up here to the program. Taking your thoughts. 615-737-1025. So Brian Callahan held his press conference yesterday before day number 2 of the joint practices against Tampa Bay. It was probably not a pleasant experience for Brian Callahan because it was mostly about, hey, why'd you guys suck so much yesterday in day 1 of the joint practice? So that was an interesting he did not sound like he was having a whole lot of fun at the press conference yesterday. I'll put it that way. But he did say something about a certain player on Atlanta that had his way with the Titans in day number 1 of the practice, that when he said it, I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, welcome to daily life in the National Football League. And the more I thought about it yesterday, Joe, the more upset it made me. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say yesterday on Drake London of the Atlanta Falcons.
How is London able to get so open so often in the middle of the
yeah, we got to tighten some of the interior coverage lanes up. He did a good job. They had some space. I mean, we're playing zone coverage in some of those spots, and he's finding the space in there. And we got to do a better job covering from the interior. And Drake's a really good player. I think he caught pretty much every pass they threw yesterday. We were pretty good in most other places, but he had a good day yesterday.
We were pretty good in most other places. Drake caught every single pass they threw his way. And I was like, well, yeah, man, that's a problem come game day. Like, nobody's going to care here in a couple weeks, Joe, if Tutu Atwell only has 2 catches for 17 yards, and then you look around at Devontae Adams has caught 13 passes for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I heard that yesterday, and I was like, yeah, okay. I understand that Drake London's a good player. By the way, you're going to be seeing a lot of good players this year, good wide receivers. It would be great to just not let one totally dominate you, which apparently Drake London did in day 1 of that practice, to the point where TD was like, yeah, this is really not a very good day for the Titans secondary out there.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's like so this is sometimes maybe it's better. See, they've been doing this thing where you got the presser before the practice, which I find very annoying. I think it's very annoying for us being media, but I bet you Callahan would have preferred to just go ahead and knock out talking about all that stuff right after it, as opposed to waiting until the next day. And then, I mean, I guess either way, it's, you're going to get the questions about it. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just like, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, well, I mean, we let the guy run for 150 yards, but I mean, one of them was a 95-yarder. So if you take that one away, I mean, we only gave up like 55 yards in the game.
That drives me nuts.
It's if only the 95-yarder didn't count, that'd be a good point.
Yeah, like I heard that yesterday. I was like, well, we did a fairly decent job from everybody else. Just Drake London caught every single pass thrown his way. It was like, well, let me guess what, Brian? If that happens in the game and you're letting Drake London catch every pass thrown his way, that's probably not going to end well for you. Like, you got to find a way to cover those guys. And look, I get it. You don't have L'Jarius Sneed out there, and who knows when you'll have L'Jarius Sneed out there, but like, you got to find a way. If you're going to be as bad on paper as it looks like you're going to be at edge rusher, you at least got to be able to cover a little bit. And the fact that apparently you just let Drake London march all over you in day 1 is not necessarily a comforting feeling. We talked about what Kyle Trask did, some of that against the starters for the Titans defense, and that was not Baker Mayfield, and it was not Mike Evans. So it's like, the secondary, I understand Sneed's a big part of it if he can be out there and be healthy. But beyond Brownlee and McCreary, they, especially at corner, they might be in some trouble at that spot.
Yeah. Now it sounded like, I mean, just his talking interior, it sounded like maybe there was some linebackers out of position and some of that stuff, and their zones maybe. I mean, I don't know. If he says interior, I guess you could be talking safeties too. But Yeah, this is also like, okay, so something like that, obviously, like in a game, I mean, you're probably like you're probably game planning, shifting coverage to a guy like that, right?
I would hope so.
Whereas in a practice, you may just be like, we're working on this defense, we're working on this, we're doing this, whatever. I mean, you may be just like straight up not doing anything special for a particular player. So a guy like that will excel. Like I can buy that more than I think the thing I don't want to hear anymore the rest of camp is like whenever Cam Ward throws a pick, like, well, you gotta, just you working on stuff.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like, yeah, but you need to work on not throwing picks at this point, and you need to like work on let's have a clean because like that's what you need to put into practice in games. I mean, again, to me, it's like the veteran QB who's established in this league, who is going to start and has been good, like Tannehill in the 21 camp. I totally bought it. He threw the ball up into double coverage. Hey, let's see if AJ can come up with that one. Or he tried to rip one. It's like, yeah, like what he said matched up with what you saw. That's just a veteran. Like, I don't give a crap if I throw a pick in practice. But a guy like this who's trying to like learn how to play and trying to like go through like to try to translate it to the to the practice or translate practice to the game. Yeah, stop. Don't take unnecessary chances. Like learn to not do that because that was really one of the fair criticisms of him as a college player.
Yeah, I agree. Like we said yesterday, we had a long conversation about Cam Ward yesterday, and me and Connor were talking about why is he throwing so many picks, and people were saying, well, is he trying different stuff? Like how much of it is maybe not being quite on the same page with the receivers yet. And I'm sure like that, if you went down and to give you the coach speak answer here, each interception has a story in life of its own, Joe. How many times we heard that?
There you go.
That's great.
A never ending story.
And I'm sure that that's true. Like I'm sure if you broke down each interception that he's thrown in camp to this point, you can probably find one or two that may be on like Chigakonkwo or, maybe one or two, Joe, has been on because the defense deep down knows what the offense is working on and knows where the routes are going. Like, I don't know. Like there's any number of different things you can point to try to deflect blame. And maybe some of them early in camp he was trying to see what he could get away with. But I do think there reaches a point where you got to start prioritizing taking care of the football. Like that's got to be your priority if you're Cam Ward. And I think we're there. Like we're to the point in camp where he has got to figure out how to take care of the football on a more consistent basis. And I said it yesterday. I'll stay by it today. Like I would rather him throw these interceptions in camp and learn from them and maybe be better prepared to avoid them by the time the regular season rolls around. And if that's how it ends up playing out, then great. Then you can look at the interceptions that he's thrown in camp as a learning experience. But like we need to start hearing. I mean, they're running out of practice days, first of all, before the regular season runs around. But we need to start hearing about Cam Ward, getting through some practices, multiple practices in a row without really turning the football over. Like there's got to be a priority from his standpoint on taking care of the football at this point in camp.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's and also it's like, what's the type of pick? Okay, I don't have it. I do think there's. I mean, it's just like if you're playing football and they can tackle you or they can't. Like there's just something different in your brain.
Yeah.
Also, like there's still like a practice thing where it's like the consequence is not massive. So okay. Every once in a while, if you want to try to rip one into a tight window, fine. But if you're throwing picks where it's just like a linebacker fooled you didn't see the coverage, that's not working. That's just a BS excuse. And I'm not even saying, I don't even think Cam, I don't know that I've heard him make that excuse. I just hear other people like some media and fans making that excuse. It's like, yeah, if you got fooled by a linebacker who was in a place you didn't think, that's not, I'm just working on something. That's you screwing up. That's you needing to learn from that and not do that anymore.
Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jared in Spring Hill to the program. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning. Another day in the life of our Titans of Tennessee. And, I just really kind of miss the coach talk. And, everything is just so positive with him. I know that's his MO is to be positive. But, man, I would just love for him to be we have so much more work to do. We were the last team in the league. Just to be – sometimes I just don't really buy him that he's, like, very self-aware to what's going on, honestly. But since we only scored 7 points last week, if we go out and we have a very similar performance where, it's lopsided one way and we're on the other side of it, are y'all gonna, like, would that, again, I felt like I overreacted last week. Would you all also, like, feel like I would be overreacting this week if they only trotted out and scored 7 points? You got blanked in 3 quarters. Again, it's just something I'm fixated on this Friday. Anyway, tighten up.
Thank you for calling, Jared. I would answer it this way, Joe. What do the starters do? Like, what does Cam Ward and the starting offense do? Like, quite honestly, I don't care, nor do I put much stock into what, Trevor Simeon's doing out there in the third quarter of this game coming up. I just don't. I mean, I think we know we don't need the preseason game to tell us. We know that the Titans don't have a lot of depth, right? Like, this is not some new information. So if the Titans' third stringers are not doing a good job of moving the football, that adds up. They don't have very good depth. I mean, I don't know if they've got good depth with their second stringers, much less their third stringers. So that part I don't really care about. What do the starters do?
Right. And the ultimate answer to this, it's funny because Big Joe actually asked me about this the other day. They were talking about it. The ultimate answer to any question like that is, I mean, apparently the 2008 Detroit Lions had some amazing threes and guys just trying to make the roster. They went 4-0 in the preseason. They went 0-16 in the season.
Yep.
It just, I mean, take a snapshot of the first quarter or so, and that's a much better way to look at it.
I mean, didn't the Titans go 3-0 in the preseason last year?
They did.
Yeah. So that kind of shows you how much that means. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Again, Paul Kuharski will be with us later in the program. We'll get his thoughts on everything he saw from Titans and Falcons in the 2 days of joint practice down in Georgia. Something else went down yesterday for Tennessee fans that has Vols fans feeling very strongly on one side or the other. We'll get into that coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. This September, Tim McGraw will be performing at Trinetics' Rock the Cradle in Nashville, a meaningful event supporting newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. Get your tickets at rockthecradlenashville.org. We'll have the best and worst things in sports coming up at 6:45. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe, a lot of screaming yesterday on Vol Twitter, which I think is just the normal on Vol Twitter nowadays. The Vols announced yesterday, and it was put out there yesterday, that they are making the switch, and this has been rumored to be happening for a long time now, but they are making the switch from Nike to Adidas, and that will take place, I believe, on July 1st of 2026. So it's not going to affect this year's football jersey or anything like that, but next year, July 1st, the 10-year deal with Adidas begins. And Danny White put out this big statement yesterday talking about the 10-year deal with Adidas and how it's one of the most lucrative and groundbreaking deals in the history of college athletics. And Adidas is giving Tennessee a lot of money, and it's going to be an apparel deal, but it's also, Joe, got some NIL stuff attached to it. And Tennessee and their athletes are going to have a chance to work with Adidas and come up with some concepts and all these different things. So it's kind of this overarching deal from Adidas that apparently Nike was just not willing to approach with Tennessee and with Tennessee athletics. So some people are really mad about this, Joe, for some reason. Like some people think that Adidas, I guess, is just absolute trash and that Nike, moving away from Nike is a huge mistake. I tweeted this yesterday. I honestly could not care less if they're Nike or Adidas. If they got a boatload of money, and I think the number's what, 200 million, something like that. They got a boatload of money from Adidas. Knock yourself out, man. I don't really care who your apparel sponsor is. But apparently, look, one thing we know about Danny White, right? And, the coaching hires, as he continues to go through his athletic career, we'll see how those all play out. But from a fundraising standpoint and from a making money standpoint, I mean, the guy clearly knows what he's doing. I don't agree with everything he does. I understand why some things that either he does or is involved with, particularly related to ticket prices, rubs Vols fans the wrong way. So I get that. Like, I understand that part of it. But, like, I have no problem with the Adidas deal when you're talking about that big of a difference in the money. And I really don't understand for the life of me why people were so mad about it yesterday.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole show with people screaming about this one. If you get Tennessee fans riled up. And I am with you. I mean, look, the Nike, I think the bottom line is for Nike, they have programs that they deem more important. And this looks like Adidas is looking at Tennessee like this is, you're the flagship program.
Yeah, like Adam Sparks described it basically as like, Nike's got Oregon, Under Armour's got Notre Dame, and now Adidas has Tennessee. Like, that's the way that Adam Sparks kind of described it.
Yeah, I saw that. And yeah, I mean, of course, I think with Nike, there's some other programs that they might consider more important than even, of course, Oregon is. Yeah. Basically Oregon has Nike, right? Not like the other way around. Yeah. So yeah, look, it's an interesting arrangement. It also, like you said, there's this NIL component and everybody's trying to find the loophole. So this is where we're getting into apparel and we're getting into, like even like local broadcasting programs, like broadcasting agreements, getting into how much can we use some of this money to give players beyond the revenue share cap, right? Yeah. So here we go again. It's all of which is just so stupid and is like, yeah, just let's get to acting like adults about this. But in the meantime, there's always going to be loopholes found, and so this is another one of those. And so there's money that's going to help with retaining and recruiting athletes, and it's just more money. Period. So I don't. I'm out of the loop a little bit on. It seemed like, I guess maybe it was 10, 15 years ago, like Adidas was really making a push. They've had ups and downs. I remember when Reebok used to sponsor a lot of prominent college programs, and that faded away. Under Armour looked like it was going to be, oh boy, and then it kind of plateaued. Right? Nike has been consistently, strong, but I mean, if you're a fan, like, does it really bother you if you go like buy a jersey? Buy a Boo Carter. How about a Boo Carter jersey?
Yeah.
Get them while you can. Like, yeah, like does it? And again, like you said, it's not till next year. But like, does it bother you that it has the Adidas thing instead of the Nike swoosh on it?
No.
Is that the thing?
I guess for some people, yes, that's the answer. They don't like Adidas and they think that. Look, again, I have worn a lot of Nike things. That's probably what I've worn the most. I like it. It's fine. But I'm also the same person that like it's clothes, man. Just find me some clothes that fit and are somewhat comfortable, and I don't really care where they come from. Like, I mean, I'd love it if Carhartt came out with some nice uniform sponsors. That give me a little Vols uniform brought to you by Carhartt. See how it goes out there. I don't think it's going to happen. But my point is, like, I can't bring myself really to care about the apparel sponsor the way that people were just screaming about it yesterday. And by the way, like, I think this will be true with Adidas, and it has been true with Nike. Like, I like some of the Nike uniforms that are out there, and that's Tennessee and otherwise, like other programs. Some of them I think are awful. Like, I think some of the designs that Nike's had has been really bad. I'm sure Adidas will be the same way. Like, I'm sure there will be some jerseys that Tennessee has with Adidas where like, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Like, I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to screw up the orange and white look, right? Like, I mean, I guess you can do it, but I think it's kind of hard to screw that up. And there will probably be some jerseys that they come out with that are just absolutely atrocious. I don't think that's going to change whether it's Nike or Adidas.
I am now having flashbacks to Adidas and like I think around 2014 in the NCAA tournament, all their Adidas teams came out with these stupid Adidas uniforms for the NCAA tournament. Like Wisconsin looked like clowns. Oh God, that was bad. So they've got a history, but again, yeah, I mean, I've talked about the Michigan State game where this is a Nike Pro Combat. Michigan State looked like GI Joes, and Michigan looked like bumblebees. I mean, it's just, you can get stupid with that in any event. But I mean, I guess when they were Adidas, they had the black outline of the numbers. Yeah, is that right?
Which, by the way, I mean, I kind of
selfishly, I know. Well, from the press box, I can see the freaking number. Please do that. But yeah, I just think this is. I get like the Nike. It's like and some of these teams do the even like the Jordan brand, right?
Yeah.
So that's like still so cool. But I don't see how. I mean, if we really think that, I've heard some people talk about this like with recruiting, and it's like. So you really think
I think
that
we're
like
getting down
all
the
of a
list
sudden Tennessee looks different to recruits because they're Adidas.
Yeah.
Again, if they were like my 1976 Pro Keds, maybe you worry a little bit. Okay. The ruse, the Walter Payton ruse with the little zipper. Okay. Then maybe we're getting a little bit off the beaten path. I think Adidas is going to be just fine.
Well, here's how I view it. It's more money, right? So more money, which means more NIL opportunities, which means hopefully like better recruiting, right? Like, isn't that the point? Like, you're trying to get yourself as much money as possible to compete with, the Alabamas and the Texas and Ohio States of the world, right? And I don't know if they're ever going to have more money than like Texas and Ohio State, but get yourself closer in that conversation, right? Like that to me is what I care about probably more than who's the apparel sponsor.
Yeah, and if you are like you're the top client of Adidas, they care about you the most, then I guess that probably brings benefits beyond the money too, right? I don't know. Maybe if they have some of these newfangled idiotic uniforms, they try it on you first, and it's actually cool. Who knows? Maybe this mean we get rid of the stupid candy corn one and the gray smoky gray crap.
I don't think so.
I'm for both. No,
I think you might see more. You might see more of them.
Well, maybe Adidas can reimagine the smoky gray and do something involving orange. Just a thought.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The best and worst things in sports. Coming up next, we'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst. You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself. I don't even miracles yet.
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Okay, let's go.
It is that time of the week, time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Well, my best is Shedeur Sanders. And again, I'm not overreacting to his performance, claiming that he's about to be an all-pro or all the haters can shut up now or any of that stuff. But he's good. And I was really happy to just see him play well. Look, he obviously screwed things up. There's no question. I think he and his dad screwed things up during the process. And I think that some NFL teams right now might be looking at themselves like, yeah, maybe we overreacted a little bit to that, because the guy can play. And it was just really thrilling to watch him play and to kind of see what I thought I saw during his college career translate. He sees things and he can put the ball into little spots. One of those TD passes, that was a big time NFL throw. I don't care who you're going against. It's a window that's a tiny crack of daylight, and he put it in the perfect spot. So to me, all the hype, all the buildup, people on both sides of the Shedeur conversation were ready to just go nuts. No one should be going nuts about this, but I just think it's my best in sports because I'm just happy for him. Happy to see him do well. My worst in sports, here we are on August 14th, and it's been weeks. And I'm really sad right now that, I have not been able to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball for a long time. And I have no idea if we're going to watch her anymore. Total silence and non-committal, there's just no info on when she might come back. This really sucks. It was a ton of fun last year. We've got some, I'm more into the WNBA now and still am, but Caitlin Clark is obviously a huge, a huge driver of interest, and I just miss watching her play. So I hope she can come back before the season ends.
Ian Safar, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Okay, best. Give a little shout out to the New York baseball scene and my dad and Willie and TD and all the Mets fans. Pete Alonso, Mets franchise home run record.
Yes.
Hard to believe, given how long the Mets have been around and some of the players that they've had over the years, past Darryl Strawberry.
Yes.
Darryl Strawberry. So that was pretty cool, Pete Alonso. And I was reading this story this week, Joe, on your website, The Athletic, this Aaron Donald stalker situation.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Terrible.
I don't know how much you saw or how much you read about it, but sounds awful, being exploited and all types of stuff. So that was not, it was eye-opening. And maybe it's something that we probably don't realize happens more with professional athletes because it's so behind the scenes. But that was a little bit disturbing story there. So I'll put that as my worst.
Yeah,
Big
for
time.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. My best thing in sports, the Milwaukee Brewers. As we know, we love all things Milwaukee here on this show, Joe Rexrode.
That's right.
Milwaukee Brewers, 12 wins in a row, double digits, 12 wins in a row in Major League Baseball. They are surging right now and playing some high-level baseball. Obviously, as a Packers fan, I have a lot of friends who are also Brewers fans, and they are very excited about the Milwaukee Brewers. So I am not necessarily excited about the Milwaukee Brewers because I don't watch the Milwaukee Brewers play baseball at all. But they have won 12 games in a row. They are the affiliate, Joe, of the Nashville Sounds. And by God, they're playing some good baseball right now. So my best thing in sports, because frankly, not a whole lot of the other things going on right now, the Milwaukee Brewers, 12 wins in a row. Joe, sticking in the state of Wisconsin, which apparently that's what I do. My worst thing in sports, Jordan Love, surgery on his non-throwing hand before the season. He gets a thumb injury in the preseason game last week, of which he played 2 drives, and ran around back there and for some reason took a sack and hurt his thumb on the play. And now he has a procedure that he got done the other day. Apparently, I don't know that I've ever heard of this before. He had a thumb surgery on a ligament, and he'll be back next week. Like, he's practicing next week. So he's going to be ready to go by week 1. We still get Jordan Love versus Jared Goff and Packers-Lions in week 1, but already a surgery we're talking about with Jordan Love, who could not stay healthy last year. So I'm starting to hey, you need to get yourself healthy out there, man. We're reaching, hey, are you injury prone status with him?
I thought you were about to deliver really bad news. Yeah, you're fine, man. He's fine. Everything's
surgery.
Just when you take care of it. Yeah. That word brings brings dread to mind, but tonsil removal surgery too.
That's true. That is true. I got one text that says the best thing, Cam Ward saying they could be a top 10 offense this year, which makes me excited as a fan. The worst thing, Cam Ward saying they could be a top 10 offense this year, which means if it doesn't happen, he just opened himself up to more blame. This is from a texter on the text line. I did see that. Cam Ward continuing to not lack in confidence.
He said Traylon Burks is a top 5 receiver in the league.
That's true.
All due respect to Cam Ward. First of all, and this is any player, when you say something like that, yeah, we can be a top, whatever. I immediately want someone to be like, okay, name me the other 9. Who else do you have in there? You don't think you're definitely not 11 or 12. You're top 10.
Yeah.
Give me your list. It's just, you definitely should not be excited about that. I think that's just talk. I don't know that I'd even really, is that going to be held against them when they're inevitably 27th?
I guess if you say crazy stuff every time you walk up to the microphones, I think we might be the best team in league history. Then eventually you add them all up, and some become way less crazy than others at some point. I don't know if they'll ever beat Traylon Burks being top 5 wide receiver.
Exactly. I don't think that, other than us joking about it, I don't think it still follows AJ Brown around that he said that Racey McMath could be Julio Jones.
Yeah, that was good.
And I think Kevin Byard is fine, even though he said that Anthony Ferkshire. What did he say about
top
him
flight
again?
tight end?
I always think there was a comparison. There was no.
No. He just said top flight tight end.
One of the top 10. Yeah.
How big is that flight? Are we talking in comparison to the rest of the human race, or are we talking NFL? This is two very different things.
Just think about that. A really good Titans team relied on Anthony Ferkshire to be tight end.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pretty amazing.
And frankly, this Titans team maybe could use Anthony Ferkshire.
They could use him. Yeah, sure.
I got one texter that says, worst thing in sports, Vols fans arguing with people on social media and then deeming themselves undefeated. It's embarrassing. I don't even know what that means.
That's Vol tweeted undefeated.
No,
it's are you? Are you sure?
I don't know that they're undefeated. There've been some.
No,
I think if you scream that often, you have to lose some.
Yeah, they're often self-defeated. Kristen, thanks for being Debbie Downer here, Kristen. You can bleed to death from a tonsillectomy, FYI.
Good Lord.
Well, jeez. That really took the show to a dark place, Kristen.
Derek from Knowledgeable says there'll be a top 5 offense on the Titans. top 5 on the Titans. I like that stuff. That's good. Chip says you can't start the season out with high expectations like a top 10 offense or can't run on us. Yeah, we'll see.
If they have a top 10 offense and people can't run on them, what's their record?
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. I mean, as long as you're okay with, Drake London catching every pass out there, you got to find a way to overcome that.
Drake London, 23 catches for 365 yards, but the Falcons had 3 yards rushing.
Yeah, don't worry. They couldn't run the ball, and nobody else made a catch the whole day, so it's all good.
He is pretty good, though.
Yeah, he's pretty good. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Paul Kuharski will be with us in the second half of the program. We will get into all things Titans with him. He was there for both days of Titans and Falcons joint practice. That's coming up a little bit later in the program. We are about halfway through training camp here. Training camp's coming to a close. We got the real practices beginning in game week coming up here in a couple weeks in the NFL. So let's take a look around the NFL. We got some takes for you coming up next. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. I got some tickets to give away. A 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days this Sunday at Bridgestone Arena. It'd be caller number 5, 615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days coming up this Sunday at Bridgestone Arena. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharski.com will be with us later in the program. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him, his takeaways from both days of joint practice for the Titans against the Falcons. We'll look ahead to the preseason game coming up tomorrow, so we'll get into all that with PK coming up here in just a few minutes. Joe, we are a significant distance into NFL training camp now. We're reaching preseason game number 2 for most teams coming up this weekend. And with that, the regular season is right around the corner. We're getting closer to roster cut down day, and real football, mercifully, is almost upon us here. So, Joe, what are some storylines, some takes around the National Football League that are really occupying your attention at this point as we are getting closer to actual real-life tackle NFL football?
Well, I mean, I got hot takes.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay. I don't know if you guys
I got some
hot takes. Okay. Well, I got 6. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go through my entire.
Just start with a couple. We'll just volley back and forth a little bit.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to go ahead and just build off best in sports, and I don't know some of these. I'm like, is this hot enough? Is this too obvious? I don't know that this one is a scorching, but some people may think so. I feel good about it.
Okay.
Shedeur Sanders will have the most starts this season of any Browns quarterback. And I totally expect Joe Flacco to start the opener.
Yep.
Shedeur Sanders will have the most starts of the Browns quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 3 different people getting starts and for it to be close between Flacco and Sanders. But I feel good about that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 4 different people getting starts. Like, I think at some point this year, you'll probably see Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders all start a game, would be my guess. Hopefully, for their sake, you never see Snoop Huntley starting a game out there. That'd be awesome.
Good God. Like, have they already had the record for, like, most QBs signed at a different point within a calendar year? It's like 6, right?
I mean, they got to be close. Like, it's unbelievable. The amount of quarterbacks that have filtered through there, and it's August the 14th.
All right. So, and people can weigh on that one as they wish.
All right.
This one I think is hotter than that. And, people accuse me of bias, but I think the writing is so on the wall for this. The Detroit Lions will not win more than 9 games this year.
Oh, boy.
I think that's probably what they'll do. They'll go 9-8.
Okay.
They are, and I've said 10-7, but I looked at their schedule and I was like, I cannot find 10 wins. If you look at the Detroit Lions schedule, it's insanity. And obviously you get the first place schedule, but just like the circumstances of the schedule, it's wild. Like they're gonna go like 9-8, 8-9 this year, and there'll be a lot of conclusions off that, including, again, I don't want to circle this show all the way back around to making fun of Dan Campbell, because you have to respect him, right? He's good.
Yeah.
But also, I think there's some limitations there that we're going to find out real starkly this year.
I mean, that roster's still pretty darn good, man.
It is.
Look, I know their schedule. Like their schedule is very difficult. And that's what you'd expect with a first-place schedule. And there's a lot of high-level matchups that they're going to have to find a way to handle. And look, I'm with you from the standpoint of I do think a lot of things really fell their way last year, and they were really good. Like they had a really good team, a really good coaching staff. And, you don't just win 15 games by accident, okay? So I understand that. But I still think, it would be very surprising to me if they are not in the playoffs this year. And you can make the playoffs at 9-8. You can. And we'll see what that looks like. But you're going to be cutting it pretty close, I think, at 9-8, if that's where if that's how things play out for them this year. But just to highlight their schedule a little bit, I mean, they start with the Packers. They got the Ravens in week 3. They got the Bengals in week 5. They got Tampa Bay. They got Washington again. Obviously their division, which was really good last year. You got the Steelers. You got the Rams. Like it's a pretty loaded schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And look, you lose one of the hearts of your team in Frank Ragnow at center. You have one edge rusher still. I know he's back, but like one edge rusher. You got questions, I think, all over the defense. He helps, Aiden Hutchinson, and then look, I'm on St. Brown, as great as he is, I still struggle to buy that Jamison Williams is going to become this consistent force. He's a huge play guy, and last year, obviously, he took a big step. There's talk about him now. He's going to be like a steady diet.
Yeah.
I have my doubts about that. He's a little bit of a loose cannon. So, and then again, the coordinators. I mean, how important are, and this is for any team that doesn't have the play calling OC head coach. You have a great offense with a great OC. You lose that OC. What's that look like?
I got a coaching one for you. Everybody's talking about like the best coaching odds to be fired. And if you look at it, Brian Daboll is at the top of most of those lists, right? Because the Giants aren't good. We'll see what they look like with Russell Wilson. And we know that the Giants owner is fed up with losing. So if they don't put together some sort of, I don't know if magical, but if they don't put together a big time improvement of a season this year, Daboll and that staff are probably gone. I tell you who the first coach in the NFL that's going to be fired is. Mike McDaniel of the Miami Dolphins. Like, it just looks like that's going to end so poorly. And you've got the Tyreek Hill stuff from last year of him basically saying that he wanted out. And apparently that has rubbed the locker room the wrong way. I mean,
what's the reports that people are keeping an eye on the trade situation still with Tyreek Hill, even right now?
Yeah, like Tua got up on the microphone a couple weeks ago and just like they asked him about it, and he was just like, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of work to do to rebuild some trust in the locker room. I was like, well, okay. You don't really hear your quarterback say that a lot, but that has clearly been a problem for them. And here's the other thing, Joe, and I think it's all fun and funny when you're like new and you got, Mike McDaniel, we made fun of it. He looks like a high school chemistry teacher. And then he's out there drawing up all this crazy stuff offensively. And don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's a good coach. I think he's kind of a brilliant offensive mind, but he's also like a total goofball. And I think when you're not winning and you're a total goofball, sometimes that starts to work against you pretty quickly. And I think Mike McDaniel is going to find himself as the first coach fired this year. I don't think they're going to be very good at all.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that at all. I think you're onto something. It's funny too, because totally different kinds of goofballs, but we were just talking about Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so endearing when you're winning, like, oh my God, this is amazing. And we'll see. And then all of a sudden you lose a little bit, or even in the early days of the biting of the kneecaps, it's amazing how someone's image can change.
How worried are we about Dallas and this whole situation with Micah Parsons and Jerry, and how much drama that could bring them down?
So Jerry, I guess, was on, I guess they're coming out with something. Is it Netflix that they're coming out with something?
Some new documentary.
For the new documentary. And of course, he got in front of a microphone, which is always interesting when Jerry Jones gets in front of the microphone. And I did find it interesting. Like, he basically just came out and said that, like sometimes when things are kind of boring or stale around there, I like to shake things up, create a little drama. It's like, well, I think we knew that about you, but it's interesting to hear you come out there and say it. I don't know. Like, this whole Micah Parsons thing to me just continues to be weird. Like, he was asked yesterday about like what's preventing you from talking with Micah Parsons. He's like, nothing. Like, nothing's preventing me from talking to Micah Parsons. It's like, well, get it figured out then, man. Like, it's, the stats are telling us you got like the second coming of Reggie White out there, and you're screwing around with the contract negotiation. So yeah, I'm very worried about it if you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, well, that comment about, the drama and all that kind of stuff, what does that say to the players?
Exactly.
And,
so you're just going to screw around?
The team. Yeah. Are you trying to win, or are you trying to create a bunch of TV stuff?
Right.
Maybe that goes back to the whole why the Cowboys have stunk for so long lately. Maybe the whole mentality of the franchise is all out of whack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the mentality of him in particular, it sometimes he misses the point of what he's supposed to be doing. I mean, I still think it's ultimately going to get figured out, and he's going to be a great player. Like and then it's just going to end up, so does that have any effect on this? I don't know. I mean, don't those players already know that he's a goofball?
I mean, yes, they do, but like you would hope that. Like, I think your hope is that he's a goofball that is like totally committed to doing whatever it takes to win. And I have no doubt that Jerry Jones wants to win, but like when you're needlessly screwing around with stuff, if I'm a player, I'm like, how is this helping us? Like, how is you like purposefully stirring up drama helping us win? Like it doesn't add up to me.
No, for sure. It's gotten to the point where it's got to be really tiresome for the people who are more serious in that organization.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll take more of your thoughts. People are mad at Rexrode on the text line. We'll get into that coming up next as well. Paul Kuharski later this hour. We believe he'll be with us in the second half of the program. We'll get into all things Titans and Falcons with him. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Later today on 94.9 The Fan, the Nashville Sounds taking on Durham with first pitch at 5:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on all things NFL at 615-737-1025. Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning, buddy. How we doing?
Yeah, how y'all doing, Joe, Robby? This is Mark from Nashville.
Good.
This is 1025 The Game. I'm getting ready to speak for the people of Nashville. Here we go.
All right.
Joe Rexrode. I got some hot takes too, Robby. Robby, I'm going to agree with what you said about the mad scientist down there in Miami, Mike McDaniels. He's not a head coach anyway. He's really a good offensive coordinator. He is. He's a genius as an offensive coordinator. You're probably right. Put Brian Callahan in that conversation too.
Well,
he may end up losing his job. But Joe, I got my relatives from Detroit sitting there texting the you know what out of me right now. You made a comment about the Lions, and you said that they wouldn't win. Joe, you know what? You may be right. I'm gonna agree with you on that, Joe. They may go back a little this year. They lost. Ben Johnson is a huge loss, and now you got Joe Morton in there. You got Kelvin Shepard as the DC. Joe Morton is the OC. Dan Campbell, the head coach. You may be right, Joe. They may end up going back a little bit. But my hot take is with you all, Joe, Robby. I'm gonna say that Jaden Daniels, if they don't get this Terry McLaurin situation straightened out, pay the man like they supposed to, give him his bag, he's gonna take a step or two back this year. He's playing a tough schedule this year against 10 top defensive teams in the NFL. So, we're gonna see how that situation goes.
Okay.
And Jerry Jones is always drama. But Joe, I'm gonna agree with you today, man. I love you, man. I'm gonna ride and die with you, man. You know how it goes. You and Robby both. But I'm going to get down here to Atlanta, man. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Well, Joe, it's funny
All
he
right.
brings that up because we're going to get, we're a couple weeks away from our, playoff predictions, which sometimes we are remarkably good at and sometimes we are just unbelievably bad at. So I'm looking forward to that coming up here in a couple weeks. But I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of one right now. I got a hot take for you. The Washington Commanders are not making the playoffs. They are not going to make the playoffs this year.
Okay.
We're going to see a little bit of a sophomore slump. Not anything major from Jaden Daniels. But I do think, despite the fact that they got to the NFC title game last year, I do think you have to remember that they were a team that barely got in the playoffs. They got a schedule this year that when you look at it, I mean, they're on the road at Kansas City. They got Detroit. They got Denver, who I think could be pretty good. They got to take on Minnesota. They got Green Bay in week 2. Like, they're on the road. Like, there's some tough games that they're going to have this year, and that's not even factor in. Obviously, they got to play the Eagles twice in their division. There's a scorcher for you. The Washington Commanders, even after the additions that they made this offseason, and I still think the Terry McLaurin situation is probably going to get resolved at some point, so I'm counting him as a part of this team. They ain't making the playoffs, baby. What do you think of that?
There's some smoke coming off that one.
Let the record show that I picked the Buffalo Bills to not make the playoffs last year, and they ended up in the AFC Championship game.
Well, that's true. And by the way, I've got a non-playoff hot take too, which I think could potentially be similar to your Bills. So my team that I don't think will make the playoffs, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
Now which would be a third year in a row, I believe, right? Third year in a row.
That is correct, yes.
Which, then you get into, if that's the case, and
their coach is definitely
absolutely, well, that's true. And I actually, I've totally believe that Joe Burrow is a great quarterback and he should be in that top tier. But, I'm just saying, like, it makes for an interesting conversation. I think the conversation is really, again, can we separate QB performance and excellence from team in some cases? And obviously it's like in a lot of different fronts, we argue that point. I got another one, which I don't, the way things are going people might think is a hot take, but I don't think it's probably my coolest one, which is the Titans will not earn the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft.
Oh,
I'm not promising you they won't have 31.
Good to know.
I'm sorry. I'm not promising you they won't have 2.
If they have 31, what a freaking year this is going to be.
Super
Bowl runner-up, baby.
Losing Titans. Yeah. That's a parade. Yeah, they will not have the number 1 pick. So there you go. Does that count as optimism? Is that blowing sunshine?
I mean, look, it's pretty hard to repeat as the worst team in the league. I'm not saying you can't do it because we've seen it done before, but it's pretty hard to do. And look, we had Frank Schwab on the other day from Yahoo Sports, and I do think that there is a chance for the Saints to be a special kind of bad this year. Like, I don't know, maybe Tyler Shuck is really good. We'll see what happens on that front, but go look at their roster. Like, it's like he said, it's old and not good, and that's not a very good combination in the National Football League. I understand that they play in a bad division. Now go look at the Titans. They play in a bad division too, so it's kind of comparable that way. But I do think that there's a chance that the Saints are one of those teams where you look in December and it's like, wow, they've won 1 game so far this year. How about that? Good for them.
Yeah, no, they have a chance to absolutely be special, no doubt. Now the Titans,
yeah, I'm not going to discount that possibility here either. Yeah,
they have some the makings of something really extraordinary here. So let's not sell them short. Have you got more?
Oh yeah, I got one more for you that is going to be interesting. At this time, I'll put it to you this way: after this season, there will be a large talking point, even though contractually it will be borderline impossible to do. We're going to be talking a lot about Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars looking ahead for the next quarterback. I think it's another opportunity for him this year with Liam Cohen coming in. And I still think that I think he is what he is at this point, which is at times an okay quarterback, and you're always walking away wanting more. And again, with the contract he just signed, it's not like they're going to have a new quarterback next year, but I think one of the talking points that we will be talking about after this season is if Trevor Lawrence doesn't dramatically improve in 2026, Jacksonville is going to be looking for another quarterback.
I like it. No, I mean, there are some Jags fans who probably would find that to be scorching hot.
I'm done with it. Like I maybe Liam Cohen is an absolute genius, but I think he kind of is what he is at this point. I think we've seen what Trevor Lawrence is, which is if he's healthy at times, fine. And if he's not being totally reckless with the football, you can win some games with him. But he's never going to be what they thought he was when they drafted him, ever.
No, and I think that is not a hot take. I think that it's hard to argue otherwise. But yeah, that it's one of those things where if they are looking forward, to me, that almost suggests a step back, just because they've paid, and it's like, he's usually fine, like you said. Mm-hmm. So it's like what causes you to move on? What causes you to move on from somebody like that? It's always an interesting question. All right, I got 2 more.
All right,
quickly. One, this one is a little bit of my Bryce Young bias.
Oh boy,
Tet McMillan, Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year. All right,
Tet McMillan, polarizing prospect. I saw a few plays in the preseason, and that was all I needed. I'm like, that dude, and they've got some other good receivers, by the way. But I think he's going to be an absolute
Xavier
monster.
Legette. What more do you need?
I know. But nice compliment, and he needs to not fight with people and stay on the field.
I like him fighting out there. Get that.
My last one is definitely my hottest take, and I mean, people are gonna probably laugh at this, and that's fine. I don't even know if I believe it, but I can see this being the shocking team. NFL Coach of the Year. Can you guess who I'm naming there?
The Vrabster.
It is not the Vrabster.
Okay. All right.
Mike Tomlin, NFL Coach of the Year.
Okay.
Can you believe it?
Wow. How about that?
Which obviously is like a huge leap on Aaron Rodgers.
About to say,
a lot of people aren't willing to make, and I'm not sure that I feel good about it. But that's why it's a hot take.
There we go. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Paul Kuharsky is in the building. We will welcome him to the program. Coming up next, we'll get into all things Titans and Falcons. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharski.com is with us for the rest of the program. PK, welcome back from Georgia. How we doing? What's going on?
Good morning, gentlemen. I am well. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be in studio. It's nice to be, quote unquote, back.
It is.
It's not nice that Joseph is not here. Where are you, Joseph? I did not hear that while I was driving in.
I'm here at home, but I'm happy to hear you. Oh, I got some stuff going on.
Well, I mean, we all have stuff going on, but then we have work going on.
Yeah, I'm working. I appreciate your concern.
That's all we get.
Well, I mean, I don't need to answer to you, whether in public or
no,
private.
Not to me, but to the listenership, to the audience.
Well, I mean, I feel like my voice is coming through with a booming, the normal sexy voice that I always bring to the show every day. And
can you confirm or deny?
Everybody knows it's a better show when everybody's together in one room. So people are curious. People were asking me on my way in.
Can you confirm or deny you're dealing with the issue that Art and Keith threw out there yesterday that the Titans apparently really took hold of to begin that practice?
I would prefer that. I mean, if you want me to take a picture, of my foot, Kuharski,
is this gout
to you? I can. Yes, it is gout.
Why did you tell him that?
Thanks. Well, I don't know. I'm sick of him badgering.
We're honest friend. We're honesty amongst friends.
Such a good interview.
It's the last person you should tell that.
I'm such a good interviewer.
This is the total last person on the earth. I wasn't going to say anything, and here you are, just outing yourself to him.
I'm a great interviewer, as he said. Got it out of him. Gout. This is such a bad flare-up of gout that you can't make it in.
Yeah. I mean, it hurts very much to walk right now.
God almighty.
Thanks for asking.
You see, you have the look on his face. You've made his week over here. You didn't have to. You could have just played it off.
It's
just
both.
I didn't say a word.
Misery.
Let the record
Reveling in
show.
my pain.
I didn't say anything.
It both entertains and disgusts me.
Good. Yeah. No sympathy. Just amusement and disgust.
Second level sympathy.
The text line, the YouTube chat is just gonna lose it here. So I didn't say anything. Just let the record show. This is a Joe Rexrode voluntary divulsion of information.
We've got time, so we'll return to this. I come with a counterpoint to one of your collective points from your very entertaining NFL prediction segment.
Cool.
Okay.
I sense some sarcasm in that. But
no, and I was surprised by this. Warren Sharp, who's a great analytics guy, called this to my attention last week. I went back and looked up the numbers. Mike McDaniel, who I have the same questions that you guys have about him, but Mike McDaniel, whose career record is 28-25 since 2022, including 2 playoff losses. If you look at him with his starting quarterback, who is not, I think we would all agree, a great starting quarterback, 25-16. I think as a 3-year record for a team that we all acknowledge is not fantastically talented, 25-16, I think a lot of people would take that from their young head coach. Record without his starting quarterback, 3-9,
and they've had some doozies,
including
of
2 playoff losses.
Yeah.
So they haven't had good backup quarterbacks, and their backup quarterback play has been terrible. And we saw firsthand a Titans win. Ugly game when they had to go 3 deep at quarterback. But 25-16 with his guy, who's not great, I think is a pretty good defense of Mike McDaniel.
No, I think my take on it is more in anticipation of how I think it's going to go for them this year. Like, Tyreek Hill is another year older. There's a problem in that locker room with him. And maybe that gets resolved by the time the season comes around. I have no idea, but there's some infighting going on there. Tua, can you really trust him to stay healthy? It just feels like to me, the walls are closing in there. So I could be totally wrong there. I just don't like the way that it is setting up for him this year.
Well, you also wonder about the competition in that division.
Yep.
Jets under new management. How's that going to go?
The Bravester.
Patriots under new management. Everybody's expecting them to get better pretty quickly, and they have a quarterback. And so who am I forgetting? I always forget one team in a division.
Well, the Bills.
The
Bills.
Yeah,
the
Bills
are kind of good.
Yeah, and the Bills are great. So, they obviously expected to be more competitive in the division than they've been. But I was dismissive of them overall, and I do think they're on a downswing. But I have to say, even in the AFC, which is a stronger conference, that 7th playoff spot opens the door for a bad team to be a playoff team. And I think if you're a playoff team in the NFL, it's hard to make a change, even if you're. Yeah. I consider that 7th playoff team to be in a whole different category. Like there are six
fired
teams.
A coach who won a playoff game.
Yeah,
that is true.
And it wasn't necessarily the wrong thing. Quite frankly, I think it's the right thing. I know there are some malarkey defenders. And Mike Mularkey, on his own merits, maybe didn't deserve to be fired, but for the fact that he would not move on from Terry Robisky, probably deserved to be fired.
So, PK, you were down there the last 2 days in Georgia with the Titans have the joint practice against the Falcons. So I'll just ask you your general overarching takeaways from how the Titans performed against Atlanta. We heard is pretty bad on day 1 of practice, maybe a little bit better yesterday in day 2, but overall, what kind of stood out to you as the Titans took on Atlanta?
Yeah, well, I'm reluctant to call the second day a bounce back day because when you actually come out and play, you don't have a super slow start and you kind of maybe play to a semi-wash. You're not meeting some high standard. You're not terrible. So hooray for the Titans who managed to recover from an awful day to get to mid or decent or okay or whatever you would call this the second day. But I don't think it was in any way a parade worthy that they recovered from awful to get to okay. They're just not very good. Now I wasn't watching the defensive field and maybe from what I read from the other guys, the fight stuff did have a bigger carryover effect, but still these early concerns there were about kind of the overall feel of this team and kind of the play to play flat. It just feels like they're waiting for something to happen. And I don't know what that is, but I feel like everybody's waiting for something to happen. And it's whatever it is they're waiting for isn't happening. Or when it happens, it doesn't light a fuse. On offense, the first day they threw more stuff, mid-range stuff, maybe some deeper stuff. And then what they come back with the next day is more conservative. Like what they do when things don't go right is, all right, we're going to, in my perception is, we're going to pull it back.
They're going in the shell.
And go into a shell and turtle it a little bit. And what we'll revert to is a short timing tempo thing. And if we can get into that rhythm, then maybe we'll start to build some shots out of that rhythm. But I think it lends itself to a certain predictability defensively. And then the ball's not always out quick enough, early enough, on time, or the defense is sitting on it. And so you get a ball out to a receiver quickly, 3 yards off the line of the scrimmage wide, and he didn't have any space to operate. There are 3 guys closing on him, and so you throw it 3 yards and you're getting 3.5. Can they march down the field like that? Sure, a lot of teams march down the field like that. But you have to execute really well all the way down the field to have a 13 or 17 play drive like that. And B, again, this idea of juice, if you will, I mean, once in a while, and I'm not saying they can't do it. Obviously, Ridley and Ward have been very good. But what are the odds you're going to march down the field like that 4 times in a game to get your 28 or your 24?
Not high at all.
You're going to need that big explosive play in there somewhere, A, to make things easier on you, and B, to kind of punch somebody in the face.
So we talked earlier about the Drake London performance against the defense on the first day, and then Callahan's explanation of like how dominant are we talking here, PK? I don't know how much you're watching D.
Yeah, well, the first day I watched D almost exclusively. Now, I mean, the volume wasn't sick, and maybe we're talking 6 balls total, but it seemed to me anytime they wanted, they could put Bijan Robinson wide and make Cody Barton follow him out there. And then against zone, run him in the middle, and he could catch the ball between 3 or 4 defenders. And they could do that at will. And the Titans couldn't adjust to it, couldn't do anything. Now, in this system, Joe, that I know that you love, this happens on Tuesday. And we could talk to Callahan about it Wednesday morning.
Right.
So we get a Wednesday morning review of what happened on Tuesday. Then we can't talk to him Wednesday about what happens Wednesday afternoon about how they adjusted to it,
and you never really will. You never really will.
The game's coming up tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. So I did not watch the defense yesterday. He said they need to tighten up the throwing lanes in zone. I don't know how exactly that works. I think if you tighten up those throwing lanes, somebody else is open. I do think the Falcons, in terms of their weaponry and talent, are pretty good. And I think between Robinson and Pitts and London, they're going to do some damage in a division that's, both they and Tampa stand to be pretty good if Tampa doesn't immediately turn old, which is potential. But Drake London made them look like they just didn't know what to do.
Well, I want to get into the Drake London comment that Brian Callahan had with you a little bit deeper coming up next, because there was something he said in there that, frankly, I had a big problem with, and I want to get your thoughts on it. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Paul Kuharski from PaulKuharski.com is with us for the rest of the program. We're getting into all things Tennessee Titans with him. So Brian Callahan said something yesterday as our show was wrapping up that caught my attention. And we talked about it a little bit earlier on our show, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it as well. So he was talking about day one and Drake London basically doing whatever he wanted to do out there and made a catch. And he made a comment toward the end of his answer that really kind of bothers me when I think about it. Let's play that comment from Brian Callahan. Okay, we'll get Brian Callahan's comments here in just a second. But there was a comment that he had basically on the Drake London part of this. And we've talked with you about this before, PK, that we know Brian Callahan trends positive with a lot of the answers that he's got. And I don't on the surface have a problem with that. But when you start going down the rabbit hole of, he talked about the defense and all these different things. And then he finally got to Drake London and what he was able to do to them in day one of practice. And let's just play the clip. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say on the Drake London front.
How is London able to get so open so often in the middle of the
Yeah, we got to tighten some of the interior coverage lanes up. He did a good job. They had some space. I mean, we're playing zone coverage in some of those spots, and he's finding the space in there. And we know how to do a better job covering from the interior. And Drake's a really good player. I think he caught pretty much every pass they threw yesterday. We were pretty good in most other places, but he had a good day yesterday.
So pretty good in most other places, but Drake London caught every pass that they threw. I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting this, PK. I heard that. It bothered me because I got to thinking about what that means in a game. And it's like, okay, well, in 2 weeks when LA comes to town, nobody's going to care if Tutu Atwell has 2 catches for 17 yards. If you look over your shoulder and Devontae Adams has caught 13 balls for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, you have to slow down the other team's best receiver. Am I making too much of this?
No, I think it's fair. I think they're couching a lot of things. He's couching a lot of things that are problems right now as not problems. They're down to 18 days, 6 padded practices, and 2 preseason games, which I guess you can look at as a lot. I think there's, outside of the games, there's more in the rearview mirror than there is coming through the windshield.
Yep.
Which is a problem. And the strategy of the most successful coach of our lifetime is to stop the premium guy, the top weapon at all costs, and take your chances with Tutu Atwell. And so, how you don't go in, even with a casual plan and say, we really want to slow down London and take our chances with Corey Washington. They say they don't plan that much. Here's the thing that drove me crazy, and everybody thinks a lot of people will think it's me picking on Jeff Simmons. Jeff Simmons, I don't know. You make of this what you will.
Okay.
The first play of team, they had something special for Simmons. He says it's something I've never seen. It's clearly designed for me. And he seemed like, I don't want to say befuddled, but a little bemused by that. Shouldn't you expect that? You're Jeff Simmons. Well, you're always asking for respect. You're always telling us how you're double teamed and people really pay attention to you. He kind of says it like it's a surprise, or, hey, look at that. But he says, hey, look at that. Not like, look how they're respecting me. He says, hey, look at that. Like, take note that I wasn't able to do anything on that play because of how they treated me.
Well, you bring up the example that immediately came to mind when I heard him say that, and when you brought up the question of, well, I'm getting double teamed. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, it's double teaming me. Go look at the tape. They're double teaming me every play out there. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they are. The guys at your position that get paid your type of money overcome some of those double teams, and you need to do that more often.
Well, then he went on to say the runs that hit us in that first practice hit us because they're unfamiliar to us. We have not seen that stuff on film. Well, are they going to have a map of what Denver's going to do to them on opening day, what the Rams are going to do? Generally, in the first couple games, you don't have great film on what's coming. And so why isn't the attitude, hey, we're going to see some new stuff today, and we need to figure it out on the fly and make plays? The attitude is, well, they got us on some stuff, but we hadn't seen it before. I hate that. I hate that. I think that's a DNA flaw. I think it starts with Jeff.
That's fair.
It always comes back to Jeff for you, doesn't it? Always comes back to Jeff.
Am I wrong?
No, not necessarily. I just think that, like, at this point, we kind of know that his explanations of anything that is a failure will not be satisfactory, right? Like, isn't that pretty clear at this point? Like, it's not going to change.
It's not going to. Well, no, the way he explains things are not going to change, and so maybe this team's just not going to change on the defensive side of the ball with that mindset. There's a seeming excuse underlying virtually everything that doesn't go wrong, instead of, hey, they hit us with some runs that we hadn't seen, and we need to do better on the fly. Well, that's I think virtually anybody would think to say something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
why can't you say that? Why is that not in his frame of possibility? Is it pride?
Phrase it exactly that way and say, Jeff, will you repeat after me? And see if he'll
the odds of Jeff repeating after me are less than Jeff saying I got to beat a double team once in a while.
I just think that, like, this, I agree that there's, of course, Callahan, like Robby said, I mean, he drifts toward, here's the bright side of that, right? And it's just hard with this team right now. Like, the bright side, it's just hard to find if you're really examining it. But I just feel like that the energy talk, you tell me, PK, the energy talk, the motivation talk, the coaching talk, even I'm not trying to take responsibility for coaching, but all those things, all these discussions really just boil down to, like, when this team plays against other teams, the other team has better players than them, and then it's very, very clear to see that.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it starts. But what I wrote yesterday is, like, they need the sum of the parts to be greater than the whole.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen. As of now, that's not happening.
And again, like, I think Callahan is culpable in this too, because, like, and PK, you could tell me better because you were there and we joined in on the press conference, like, right when he was saying this yesterday. So maybe I'm missing some context, but, like, he started talking about, he got blitzed about how bad the practice was on Tuesday. And then he started talking about, it was nice to know, like, they made this offhand comment of, like, well, it's nice to know the standard's high. And it's like, oh yeah, man, it's the National Football League. And I understand that you trend positive, but, like, everybody who was there is telling us that the Titans basically got killed against the Falcons on Tuesday at the practice. And I get it. It's a practice. I've talked about this before. We make so much of practice in this sport. It's mind-boggling to me sometimes, but it's the information that we have to go on. And I just felt like throughout the press conference yesterday, Brian Callahan was just like, yeah, well, it's not that big a deal. It's just practice out there. What difference does it make?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're in a tough spot. I think the beginning of the schedule is really going to be bad for them. I think they're a team that can't fall behind, because you fall behind and then you're going to put too much on Cam. One interesting thing that I mentioned in my piece, if you look at the guys, the quarterbacks, look specifically at Jaden Daniels, but look at Lamar Jackson at the beginning too. The guys who have been the best rookie quarterbacks, they've been able to drop back if they understand the read and everything, they can make a play. If they don't understand the read, they've been able to run and still make a play. Well, Cam is not that kind of quarterback. So if he doesn't understand the read, doesn't understand what he's seeing, he either needs to eat it, and so you're sacrificing the play, or he's at risk of trying to create something, which is where problems happen. So best case scenario, you're sacrificing it down. Worst case scenario, you're doing something risky. Either way, though, you're losing that down, where Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson or some of these other good running quarterbacks would get you first down, maybe. or sometimes
up
a
something
huge
positive.
play.
Yeah. There's a couple things on the Cam Ward front I want to get to with you coming up next. We'll do that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Paul Kuharski with us for the rest of the program. We'll take in your questions for him on our text line as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Paul Kuharski with us for the next hour, talking all things Titans. We welcome your Titans questions as well on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. PK was down there for both practices between the Titans and the Falcons this week, the preseason game coming up tomorrow, in which apparently Cam Ward and the starters will play probably a couple series. We'll see how things play out on that front. On the Cam Ward front, you mentioned the connection with Ridley, which I think is really positive. We've talked about that kind of heading into all this, how important that was, and it seems like that part of it is going well. Another thing that seems to be happening a lot is interceptions. And I know it's training camp, it's practice, it's a rookie quarterback, and not every interception is directly the quarterback's fault. Having said all that, he's thrown a lot of picks. How concerned are you by the number, the volume of interceptions that we're seeing from Ward to this point?
Yeah, he needs to be cleaner. He threw one yesterday in the move the ball, might have been 2-minute scenario late where there's only one thing going on. The team's exchanging possessions, where he got flushed out of the pocket and was throwing the ball away. It was Levis-esque in that, he's got to be throwing it out of bounds.
Yeah.
And he threw it not out of bounds. And D. Alford, cornerback, was able to navigate the sidelines and catch it and, give it a pretty good return. Almost like a punt.
Oh, and by the way, he did that in the preseason game too. It didn't get picked, but
right.
he threw one away that did not go out of bounds.
Away.
Yeah.
So he said he felt pain watching him do that, and he needs to hit the opposing coach in the head with that throw or something to that effect. But that, that's poor decision making there. That should be pretty basic and automatic to throw that ball at a much sharper angle out of bounds. So I got some grief for invoking Levis's name, but that was the kind of thing that Levis did that everybody was up in arms over decision-making wise.
Yep.
So he needs to clean that up for sure. Some of these interceptions, are tip balls or the like, but, and they'll say they want him to take some chances and all of that, but whole operation needs to be cleaner. I don't know that the receivers are crushing it outside of Ridley. They really pushed it to Io Manor the last 2 days. He said he didn't feel that way, like there's no conscious effort to get him to it. Coverages dictate it. Well, the coverages dictated things for him. He had a really bad day the first day, said it was his worst practice day since he's been here, was kind of timid on balls he should have gone and gotten given his physical stature. Did better the second day, but I think they're, it suggests that he was with Cam more. So there was opportunity there for him. It'll be interesting to see what Ward does in this game. I mean, I think we gave Ward a lot of credit in that first game, and he deserved a lot of credit in that first game for what he did on that second drive. But that first play, the biggest play of the game to Ridley, yes, he had great protection. Yes, he made a strong throw to Ridley. Ridley's open by 6 yards there. There's a busted coverage element to that. So I'm not downgrading him for doing everything right there. And that play is a great play to get them kick-started on what was a good touchdown drive and the only touchdown drive of the game for them. But, I'd like to see in this game him operate against some more realistic circumstances, if you will, at least coverage-wise. You want the pass protection to continue.
Yep.
And then the other thing is the Titans are going to play their starters for 2 series on both sides. Is Callahan's intent going in? Does Atlanta play anybody? And, people want to be excited about this team. I want to be excited about Ward, and you can't downscore him again if he's making the right reads and making the right throws and all of that. But you have to say along with it, it's against second team pass rushers who are less likely to beat the Titans' first offensive line, and against second team, coverage guys who are less likely, first team coverage guys are pretty good for the Falcons.
Okay, I have a couple points to make before I forget about them. First of all, I got a text from a source who very much knows NFL football, having played a lot of it, who made the point on the practice thing that the wham block usually is not a practice thing. It's a game plan play. So I guess that, I don't know if Jeff adequately explained that, but I guess that's the idea.
Well, I'm ready for Jeff to adequately explain things. What is he, in year 8? When can Jeff start to adequately explain things?
So let's take him out of the explanation, though. But I guess, does that make sense to you that it's oh, you guys are doing stuff that if we were playing a game, you would do? Because my answer to that would, and I did text this back, was well, why isn't it okay to work on that in a practice? You know what I mean? Seems like that still could be a good thing to work on in a practice. But I guess, I don't know. I know sometimes
so
these
he's
coaches
surprised
get
by
with each other and they're like, hey, we want to try our more cover 3 in this practice. You guys throw this blitz or that blitz at it, whatever.
Well, that's fine that he's surprised by it on the first play or whatever. But then these other runs that they don't recognize the rest of the time, haven't you seen every run?
It's all unfair, PK. It's all unfair.
It's all unfair. Haven't you seen every run there is in the book? Is somebody coming out with a run that's never been seen before in football at a practice in Flowery Branch, Georgia in the middle of August?
So watch out for the Falcons this year.
Yeah.
They're bringing back spinners.
Yeah.
Just wait till Pavia gets in the league.
Oh, man.
Another on the YouTube chat, a couple points. One is, and I said this before, I haven't heard the comparison in a long time, but it's totally Ultra being known. He's this is why I hate the McNair comparison. He's not anywhere near that. And I never got the McNair comparison. McNair is way different, way better as a runner than Cam Ward.
And frankly, people started making the McNair comparison a lot when it was clear that he was going to the Titans. It's okay.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, some of these comparisons are stupid. And that is one of them. Also, Sam,
he's not a great runner. He might be a great scrambler.
He's a good eluder
behind the line of scrimmage. That very well put. Very well put.
Yeah. Thank you. Sam says Mahomes threw a ton of picks his early camps. Mariota's first camp, he didn't throw a pick. Is that true, PK?
I don't remember if it was first camp, but there was one where he didn't throw. Yeah, I'm not overrating it. You want him to be cleaner overall.
Yeah, my thing is if you are taking a chance on something, you're just trying to squeeze one in practice, or you're just, you know what, the safety might get over there, but let's give Calvin a chance. Oh, fine. But when you don't see a linebacker, that's not taking a chance. That's you misreading, and you need to get better and not throw those picks. And it seems like he still has too much of that, right?
I agree.
Do you have a problem with Cam Ward saying that they could be a top 10 offense in the NFL?
No, as long as look, it's your job to be a discerning listener. Cam Ward wasn't here last year. He doesn't realize how bad they were and where they're starting. And I wrote this again. The undercurrent, this started at the Brinker-Borgonzi press conference to start things. And the undercurrent around the team since then has been, we got a long way to go. We're there's a lot of work to be done. Our depth is really not good. All of that stuff. Cam Ward's the only one saying this stuff.
We are awesome.
Well, he also called as Joe, you pointed out earlier in the show, he did call Traylon Burks top 5 wide receiver in the league at 1.2.
So he's the only guy viewing this. It's youthful enthusiasm and naivete. If there are fans out there buying it, I say that's let the buyer beware.
Well, you need to ask him next time he says it, name the other 9 teams. Where, what offenses are you ahead of? You're better than who? The Eagles? Who you got?
Well,
let's go through the list.
We were talking it's not as if he's a blowhard, because on other stuff, he's pretty specific. He was talking about the protection, and he said, I know, 8 out of 10 times I'm going to be fine, or something like that. That's a very precise number. He's saying that the pressure rate is 20%. And the pressure rate is probably about 20%. Like it was 27% 2 years ago. Nick Suss was quick to look up these numbers. It was like 23% last year. 20% would be right about the right number. So he knows stuff like that and can tell you, boom, boom, boom. He can't, I'm sure, tell you where the Titans ranked in passing offense or wide receiver rooms last year. This was funny. I don't know if you caught this. Right while, like literally in the same time window that Cam was saying he's got top 5 receiver room, Colin Cowherd was doing a segment on the Titans saying they've got a bottom 5 receiver.
We need a point counterpoint.
Can't marry that up any better. Lots more to come with PK. We'll take more of your questions. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
this, what do you feel like you need to work on the most to be ready for week one?
Honestly, I think I'm at a point where I can go play a game with my guys physically, mentally. I think the biggest thing I need to work on going to the game is just more reps at certain plays I haven't gotten the right amount of reps at. The new plays that we're adding, so getting more reps at those. I got a lot of reps at the base install that Coach Callahan's put in, but just all the new little installs that he's added, whether we're adding play here or there once a week, just getting more reps at those so I can see different coverages. But if we have to go play a game, I'll be fully prepared with the coach staff that I have.
That's Cam Ward saying he's ready to go when it comes to a game. Getting some more reps, get those new plays in, and he's ready to play some football. Taking your thoughts for Paul Kuharski on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, PK, you brought up the pressure rate. I know in training camp is not exactly the most conducive environment to watch this, but overall, what have your impressions been of what you've seen from the offensive line to this point, with Lloyd Cushenberry having not been out there, in a team setting yet with any sort of meaningful snaps, and we'll see what that looks like for him by the time week one comes around. But what have you thought overall of the way the offensive line is played?
I think it's been pretty good. It's hard to really look. There are things that you're just not going to know until opening day, really, because we're not going to see them clearly against the ones until then. I don't think we're seeing them against ones tomorrow night. And I don't think we're seeing them against ones against Minnesota in week 3 of the preseason. They're one-on-ones. I know people don't want to hear it. We're in a kind of blind spot in Atlanta's field yesterday, an unreasonable blind spot. I don't know. I do know, they don't let you go over there because there's only 7 yards out of bounds and it's very dangerous.
Did you keep your filming within 90 seconds?
I didn't have enough good film to test the 90 seconds, but yesterday, if I had enough, I was going to break it. Like what were they going to, what were the consequences for breaking the 90 seconds? The NFL police, the Falcons police going to come to Nashville and handcuff me? Or were my privileges with the Falcons who parked I went and parked. I don't know. People don't give a damn about this, but it's like 4 miles away from the facility and got on the fan shuttle bus. I talked to the PR director and he's like, well, we don't really have control of this lot across the street, which is like the primary fan lot that fans were parking, 2 hours in advance. I said, you get 6 traffic cones. And the 6 press from Nashville could be accommodated and come and go as we need to come and go to work. They were like dumbfounded.
Traffic cones.
The Roselle traffic cones. The Roselle Award is voted on by the Pro Football Writers of America for the best public relations staff in the country. I told the guy as I shook his hand and met him, I said, well, you're out of the running for the Roselle Award.
I vote you number 32.
I said, if we sat down and mapped out the worst way this could be laid out, you've nailed it.
Well, I was proclaiming the other day, like, please, PK, do more video than you've ever done in your life. Now, not the type of video you like to do, but you know what I'm saying? Or the up and up video of your entire life. And just blow past the 90 seconds and then ask for forgiveness and test this crap. What a joke. How could you not have? You'd have 90 seconds between like interviews and all that.
Well, interviews I don't put out that much as it is because it's mana for the aggregators. So people don't really seem to like the interview clips, and then guys in Ohio write stories off of it and pretend like they were there. So I don't put out that much interview stuff as it is. And then you can only film one period. And so like the first day I filmed one-on-ones of Daryl Baker getting beat, and people weren't that excited about that. The second day, the only period of interaction between the Falcons and the Titans, I was on the other field watching Titans red zone offense. I could have filmed the Titans defensive line and outside linebackers getting stoned by the Falcons offensive line, but I didn't get to the right place at the right time. But I also don't think people would have been real excited about Titans losses. They want to see Titans wins. So it just didn't work out to get that much good video because there's such limited periods available to film. If
So
there had been good stuff to film,
you're trying to churn out propaganda. I want to see what's really happening. Send out their losses.
Be sending out a lot of videos.
well,
Sending out
thank you for the clicks on the snaps of losses that I had a great Drake London catch. I'm sure you watched that 5-10 times.
That was pretty good. Decent camera work.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, my filming is,
elite.
Pretty
spectacular.
Pretty good. Now, I'm a better picture taker than videographer. I can take some pictures.
Oh, we've seen Rexrode's filmography. It's
Poor.
leaves something to be desired out there.
It's poor.
We've seen Kuharsky's too. Let's keep it above board here. Okay.
Look, you've done made him mad. The gout comments have come back, and now he's got to start taking some shots at you. The way it goes here. The way it just goes around.
Catch
here.
one stray pee-pee and never live it down.
Femi
I'm not a
Oladejo.
repeat offender, by the way. I made one mistake and I chilled it. You can't stay away from shellfish meat and meat.
At this point, I'm about to have a total binge on that stuff because I'm not touching it. I'm still getting gout. I may as well have fun in life.
Yeah.
Right?
What's the doctor say? How are you continuing to get this?
People don't want to hear about it.
I think you might be wrong.
Oh, contraire.
Well,
contraire.
Okay. All right, fine. Well, this medicine that I have been swearing off, it's called colchicine, because 3 years ago, the last time I had gout, it destroyed me. Yesterday, I went and begged for it. Okay, so that's where we are.
Why does it hurt you?
It tears. It's a stomach problem. So yeah,
you want a foot
just
problem?
Getting in there.
Okay,
foot problem or stomach problem? Our poll, Ian, put that up. Would you rather have foot pain, gout, or torn up stomach?
If this gout will
could be
go
pretty
away,
close.
I'll wear,
Treat that.
I'll wear a
go
diaper
viral.
the rest of my life if this gout will go away. I will just
Flip that
I'll
up.
walk
There
around.
we go.
Just that's fine.
I'm very curious where people come down on this. I think I'd like to start with the foot pain and
I would agree.
and see what it's like.
Just maybe experience it for a minute. Then if it's too much, then you can switch.
you make the trade,
Yeah.
which is what Joe's doing.
So when a sheet touches you, it feels like a knife's going to your foot.
It's not,
There's a certain degree of softness, I think, in that review.
Okay.
Corey Curtis wants me to ask
King
you.
Louis the 14th never said that.
It's
or
true.
whoever it was that had it.
It's true. Corey Curtis wants me to ask you where you think Adam Schefter would have had to park in the fan lot in Atlanta.
Adam Schefter would have gotten a carriage ride.
Arthur Blank's helicopter brings him in.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. 102. So one texter says 1025 the game. You come for sports takes, you stay for gout updates. That's what we do.
You gotta get
Here on the
gout
program.
updates.
More with PK coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game. This week's Nashville's best deal is Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Join Fat Bottom this Saturday for their Lucky 13 anniversary party at 800 44th Avenue North in Nashville. A full day of casino-themed fun, live tattoos from Black 13, face painting, balloon art games, and, of course, ice-cold beer. Get a $100 gift card, half off, while supplies last at theGameNashville.com/deals. Plus, don't miss their Lucky 13 anniversary party this Saturday at Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Paul Kuharski is with us. We're taking your thoughts on all things Titans. Let's quickly head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Daryl to the program, who has some advice for Rexrode. Daryl, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, morning, guys. Enjoy the show.
Thanks.
Joe,
Thanks.
Have you ever heard of a substance called dark cherry juice?
Yeah, I've eaten a lot of cherries. I haven't actually done the juice separately, but I may actually get into that today.
I go several years back. I started getting gout in my right foot. A friend of mine going to GNC. You can also buy it at Target and Walmart now. Over the counter. You take a teaspoon at night, dilute it with water before you go to bed in the morning, and I'm telling you, it'll make a difference. It's a natural deflammatory. And I had a couple of friends that had gout. They swear by it too. And just give it a shot, because it's good. It really, I'm telling you, man, it works.
Hey, can you stay on the line? We're going to put you off the air, but Ian's going to get your number. If you're hanging out with a bunch of guys with gout, Joe needs to tie into your group.
Yes.
Can
we get your contact info?
Yeah.
A support group might actually be nice.
And Joe, say damn it to the tablespoon. You need to be chugging this stuff out of the bottle.
I mean, man, gout hurts. I know, Joe, I know what you're going through, brother. It hurts.
Solidarity, bro.
Thank you, Daryl.
Solidarity, Daryl.
It's all fun and jokes to PK.
It's all fun and jokes to anybody that doesn't have gout. I mean, it's a funny disease. If you had what's adult chicken pox called?
Shingles.
Your shingles, yeah.
If you had shingles, it
Don't
would
get
be
measles.
a different deal. The sympathy would be different. But people are just unfamiliar with gout. You need to do a better job campaigning for gout awareness instead of letting it be the butt of so many jokes. But your campaign for gout awareness has been terrible.
And all you had to do was shut up. I was never going to say anything about this most recent episode, and you brought it to light.
PK's like, brain cancer.
Yeah,
those are comparable.
How about this? See, his gout awareness campaign is now comparing it to brain cancer. See how he's failing gout?
I'm just saying that you have no.
He's failing gout.
Have a heart.
He's comparing it to brain cancer. Give me a moment here. I'd like to speak to everyone out there with brain cancer and apologize on behalf of Joe Rexrode. We do not in any way at the game endorse the idea of diminishing the seriousness of brain cancer. We're sympathetic to what you're going through, and we wish you all the best in what we understand could be your remaining days. And we apologize for the insensitivity. Now back to sports talk that we hope lightens your burden.
Rexrode.
This could have been a sports show.
Could have been.
Let's minimize brain cancer for Joe's gout.
Good Lord. Femi Oladejo transitioning from that somehow. Not very impactful to this point in camp.
So Ian and I just had a moment, and then it extended. Our moment extended, and I choked on my water. But Ian, come on the air. How much did you enjoy that? Ian loved that. Ian, rate that for us.
Which part?
The part where you and I were dying
sharing a moment
about
together.
the minimization of the brain
transition there from Robby from minimizing brain
Femi
cancer.
Oladejo.
So Femi and this outside linebacker pass rusher group is complete trash.
I mean, so done with his conversation.
Some transitions are difficult, and the guy in Robbie's chair just has to jerk the thing back,
do it.
Put it back in the lane.
Yeah, so
and he's a pro.
Listen, I don't want to speculate, about medical things. But is it possible that Femi has gout?
No. So you went from not wanting to talk about it to minimizing brain cancer to wishing it on a Titans second round pick.
I mean, is it not possible that the Titans have like a run of gout and that's why they're lacking energy? I mean, I don't know.
There'd be more walking boots out there than there are if this happened.
No. See, you obviously need more gout awareness. Because a walking boot is not what you do. You don't do anything that touches the gouted area. You leave
find
that
out in 6 months that L'Jarius Sneed's been dealing with
How
gout
about
the whole
one
time.
of those, like, you ever seen the kids get into that big bubble and they bang against each other? Like, what about a foot bubble for that?
That might be
Seinfeld bubble boy.
New look, yeah,
That's
a
right, that's
bubble
right.
foot.
The moops.
I'm inventing solutions for gout.
So Femi Oladejo, what do you thought of him so far, huh?
He's up and down. You know, I keep referring to this piece I wrote. Everybody go read my piece from yesterday that I retweeted this morning. You know, I think some of the thing fan wise, and what's going to be hard for fans here is the incremental improvement we're looking for. And I know, Joe, you're going to be excited to see if from game 1 to game 2, Femi Oladejo's hand placement on pass rushes, does that get better? Like, that's fun to look for that, right, on an NFL Sunday. Hey, Titans lost, but Femi Oladejo's hand placement it really showed signs of improvement, right? That could be the kind of exciting season that we're looking at.
Ooh,
like
can't wait.
Glacier stuff. Like, Joe, go out and watch this glacier for a week and come back and report on it. That could be what all of us that are out there are doing.
I do need ice.
But don't let it touch the foot. Just put it kind of near the foot.
Inflamed foot. Joe, your thoughts. Do you have any Titans questions for PK?
Good God. I mean, now I'm looking at the text line, all these depends jokes. I mean, we got a lot of different ways this is going.
I know. You said people didn't want to talk about this, and you're wrong.
Everybody wants to talk.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you and Daryl to get together. Hey, if you want to leave the show early, to call Daryl just to get in on the next support group, we understand.
Hey, I appreciate Daryl's. Suggestion. I got a medicine on here that's like endomethazine. I never even heard of that. I'm like, sure. I'll take a needle and inject it in my veins at this point. Sure.
That's from
I don't even need a doctor to tell me.
That's from a vet, by the way. That suggestion.
Oh boy.
So, okay. All right. Oladejo, you said up and down. Where's the up? Because, and obviously, you know, I'm going on a small sample size of watching him in which I was like, man, this guy is miles away. Do you think this guy, in all seriousness, can have any sort of impact? And he's gonna get snaps because he has to, right?
Yeah, well, I think he'll have moments, right? Just on pure athleticism, and maybe he sees something here or there. Excuse me, but consistent impact, it's going to be difficult. I think they're working hard on stuff, but they've chosen a developmental route. And he's as big a symbol of that as anybody on the team, right? He's not a drop him in and let him go guy. He's a guy that needs to be coached up. I think there was at least one third down in the game. I don't remember how many third downs there were on the Titans defensive series where he wasn't on the field. So how is that helping accelerate things? Like, Arden Key and Draymond Jones don't need to be on the field for a third down in the preseason. So I would look for maybe to see if that changes in what they do tomorrow night. And he should absolutely, I mean, all of these guys, we know who they are, need to be in as many big, quote unquote, big, nothing's big, but in as many key situations as they can be in that pertain to their doing their job. So there should not be a third down defensively that Oladejo isn't in, whether it's a run situation or a pass situation. Like, get him out there.
Yeah.
Even if he's not going to be playing third downs for you come regular season.
That's what this
get
time
him
of
in
year's
those
for.
situations now.
Yeah, absolutely. Eli from Smyrna asking how Gunnar Helm has looked in joint practices to you.
Yeah, he comes and goes also. You know, it's not dissimilar to Oladejo. I don't know that Gunnar Helm has a full handle on what he needs to do, but he can make a catch. If he winds up being the targeted guy, you have to feel pretty good about his chances of making a play. And so he makes splash plays here and there for sure. And I think virtually everyone that's watching this team on a regular basis likes him better and thinks him a more dynamic target than Chig. Now, people are making a big deal out of like, is he tight end 1 or is he tight end 2?
Yeah.
They really don't ideally play the same position. Chig is the move tight end who could be, lined up in the slot or in the backfield, and Gunnar Helm is more likely to be lined up in line.
Yeah. So on the tight end front, again, quickly, I looked up in the first game, in the preseason game, and I was like, oh, Josh Wiley caught a pass. And then I looked at the clock, and there's like a minute and 51 seconds left in the game. I was like, that probably doesn't speak well to where Josh Wiley is right now. Is he making this team? Is he
I don't think
gone?
so. I mean, if you want to put up arrows and down arrows on established guys, established guys who we know and who've been around, he's got a down arrow for sure. I just don't think he's improved, and I don't think from the start that he was a guy who kind of somehow fit what they want. So maybe he winds up being a decent player somewhere, but in terms, there are going to be a certain percentage of guys who just you inherit and don't like for whatever reason. And I don't think he's been particularly good, but I think he fits in that basket.
Well, one more segment with PK coming up next. Take more of your questions on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hey, Robby Stanley here. Fantasy football right around the corner. Twin Peaks is your spot for your fantasy football draft party. You can stay cool under pressure with 29-degree draft beers, bites for the whole team, plus a $50 bonus card for the commish, and an additional $5 bonus card for every drafter as well. They've got loaded fries, nachos, multiple flavors of boneless wings, and more. Call to book your draft party today at the Twin Peaks and Cool Springs or Madison locations, or visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft for more information. Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safard, Paul Kuharski with you here on the program. By the way, Charles Robinson will be with us tomorrow. He is at a training camp practice today, so we'll see. Rob will be with us tomorrow on the show from 7:30 to 8. So looking forward to that. Paul Kuharski with us. Paul Kuharski is back with us, and he will be with us every Wednesday throughout football season, barring some sort of scheduling conflict between he and the Titans. So good to have PK back on a weekly basis here.
Good to be here.
Absolutely. Brett and Franklin wondering why Cam's a rookie, needs some more reps to learn. Why in the world is he not playing more than 2 or 3 series in preseason games? This is from Brett.
Look, I wonder the same thing. And then the answer is obvious. Injury risk, injury fear. So, I had a lot of people, why can't he play 3 quarters like Shador did? Well, if he plays 3 quarters and comes out of it fine, that's fine. That means a lot of, the offensive line's got to play 3 quarters.
Correct.
So you're subjecting a lot of people to injury in what are meaningless games. And so you make the trade-off. He gets less experience in the preseason, but he's more guaranteed to be healthy for the meaningful games. And so he's less ready for the meaningful games, but he's more assuredly healthy.
And I do get that. I do. As you know, I'm a big proponent of health, a big health guy.
Yeah.
But
picture of health.
Yeah. But I think all those decisions, there should be some kind of like a sliding scale based on like your realistic assessment of your own team. And I understand. I'm sure a lot of people in that building and on that roster are like, hey, this kid's good enough that we could be the surprise team. He could be that rookie 30 in a row who does something no one saw coming. But to me, it's like, I'm not saying put him in harm's way and have him out there playing with 3's offensive linemen. I am saying like a good half with the 1's offensive line to accelerate the development with a team that, let's face it, if they win 7, we'll be patting them on the back. I don't know. I feel like the risk is a little bit lower when you're this kind of team, isn't it?
I tend to think that too. But then at the end of that, I say, but what if he steps on somebody's foot and suffers a high ankle sprain?
Yeah.
Or worse, he's running to the sideline and somebody tackles his planted foot and the ACL goes. And then you're second guessed forever.
Jordan Love just played 2 series last week and now is having surgery on his thumb.
Non-throwing thumb.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think it's a very difficult decision to make, and you can roll through it and roll through it and roll through it. At the end of everything, you say, but what if he were to tear an ACL in the extra series? But what if he's to suffer a high ankle sprain in the extra series? But what if he's to land on his shoulder badly in the extra series? And every time you come out of that and say, yeah, it's not worth it.
And dudes do that stuff all the time in practice, but
that's true. That is true. All right, we've spent a lot
They're
of
way
time.
more protected in practice. They're not taken to the ground in practice, and they wear red jerseys at practice for a reason.
I think we all recognize that this is going to be a big work in progress. The Titans have essentially said as much with this team. You did bring up the Ridley Ward connection, so let's dive into that a little bit. It looks pretty good. It looked good in the preseason game. Everybody talking about in practice how it's looked good. How encouraged are you by that? And if that continues into the regular season, what does that mean for the bottom line of this football team in your mind?
Well, I think you'd be wise to double Calvin Ridley pretty consistently and make him go to the next guy. And then who's the next guy?
It's a great question.
So the Titans will have to answer for that. But if you let that matchup get heated up, you're foolish. We talked earlier about, you would look to stop Drake London, number 1 on the Falcons and go to Robinson or Pitts. Well, the Titans don't have an identifiable Robinson or Pitts. So if you come in and say, boy, Ridley looked really good with them in the preseason, we're going to put our best guy on him or we're going to double him. and take our chances with the rest, I think you'd feel pretty good on the defensive plan. But the way their chemistry has come, like, I don't think it's an outright indictment of Levis. But boy, is it night and day from the difficulty that Levis and Ridley had last year getting things together. And I think Calvin learned some stuff out of that in terms of how he's approached things with Ward. And boy, that's been healthy. And if you're looking for positives with the Titans, I can't think of anything that's been more positive than seeing the two of them connect so quickly, develop a friendship so quickly, and be productive so quickly. It translated into the first preseason game. You hope it translates tomorrow night and keeps on the track that it's been.
The offensive line against twos, but still, I thought a good performance against the Bucks. Just those guys, individuals, team, sevens, whatever. What would be your overall takeaway on that group from the joint practices?
Yeah, I mean, looks good. I didn't see Cam when I was watching him under any significant stress. Generally has time, or if not time, the ability to recognize that things are starting to go awry and get out of trouble with a rollout and a throwaway or a throw at somebody's feet. So A, good time, and B, the ability to recognize that a play is about to end and end it on his own terms, if you will, which are very positive developments given where this team is coming from.
Absolutely. PK, great stuff, brother. Appreciate you being back with us.
Great to be here. Read up on gout so that we could all be more sympathetic, but keep it in perspective with regard to brain cancer. Don't block the box, and be sure to lock your locks.
Next man up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.